This is the Daily Divide. The New Zealand government has rolled out its National Land Transport Program for the next 3 years, highlighting a hefty $32.9 billion investment with a strong emphasis on state highways, road maintenance and public transport in major cities. Transport Minister Simeon Brown announced the plan, underscoring a shift away from cycleways and slower speed limits, focusing instead on economic growth and productivity. A key element of the plan will receive substantial attention with 17 major road projects on the horizon. Additionally, a significant portion of the budget will address basic road maintenance, including pothole prevention, which has been a growing concern for many Kiwis. However, not everyone is on board with the government's new direction. Labour's transport spokesperson Tangi Utikere criticised the plan, calling it hypocritical given the government's promises to cut costs. Utikere pointed out that while the government is pushing for these large-scale road projects, they've also increased fees and taxes for drivers, which he argues contradicts their cost-cutting claims. The Green Party also voiced concerns, particularly about the reduced funding for local roads and alternative transport options like public transit and cycling. Green Party transport spokesperson Julianne Genter stressed that the $6.4 billion allocated for public transport falls short of what's needed to sustain growth and reduce emissions, especially in the face of climate change. Despite the opposition, the government remains committed to its plan, with Brown emphasising that the record investment will improve travel times, enhance public transport options in the cities, and maintain the country's roading network to meet the expectation of New Zealanders. Yet the debate continues on whether this approach will benefit all regions adequately and address the country's evolving transport needs. Seabed mining company Trans-Tasman Resources, TTR, has successfully expanded its mining permit, increasing it nearly fourfold from 6,600 to 24,300 hectares. The expansion follows TTR's withdrawal from environmental hearings earlier this year, as the company focused on securing fast-track options for its operations. TTR's executive chairman Alan Edgars welcomed the expanded permit, emphasising that the iron sands they intend to mine are crucial for the transition to clean energy, as they contain valuable minerals like iron ore, vanadium and titanium. While the TTR celebrates the permit, concerns are growing among other industries, particularly fisheries and the emerging offshore wind sector. Seafood New Zealand CEO Lisa Futschek expressed worries about the potential impacts on fisheries, highlighting the lack of sufficient information on the environmental aspects, especially sediment plume from mining. Offshore wind developers also raised the alarms, noting that the expansion significantly reduces the potential for wind energy in projects in South Taranaki, with capacity estimates dropping from 2 to 3 gigawatts to just 1 gigawatt. The overlap between mining zones and potential wind farm locations poses significant challenges for the coexistence of these industries. Labour's Energy and Resource spokesperson Megan Woods criticised the government for delaying development of offshore wind regulations, which she argues undermines the viability of renewable energy projects in the region. As the debate continues, the impact of TTR's expanded permit on both the environment and other industries remains a contentious issue. New Zealand's Children Minister Karen Shaw announced that the ministers have opted to ignore Oranga Tamariki's advice on handling serious youth offending. Officials warned that creating a Young Serious Offender or YSO category could complicate the legal process, glorifying the label and limit intervention effectiveness. Despite these concerns, new legislation will allow police to seek YSO declarations. The Commerce Commission is set to intensify regulation in New Zealand's grocery sector, revealing concerns about competition in its latest annual report. Grocery Commissioner Pierre Van Heerden highlighted that despite the high profits and increased supermarket margins, competition remains weak, with major players, Foodstuffs and Woolworths, still dominating the market. Van Heerden criticised the current state of competition, noting that the retail prices are rising faster than the cost to supermarket suppliers. The Commission plans to introduce stricter penalties, potentially up to $10 million, and enhance the use of the Fair Trading Act to address these issues. Woolworths defended its position, citing recent losses and regulatory changes, while Foodstuffs expressed support for a fairer market but noted ongoing efforts to improve value and transparency. The Commission also recently introduced a whistleblower tool to uncover anti-competitive practices in the sector. The New Zealand government has announced it will accelerate the rollout of a new structured maths curriculum for years 0 to 8, starting in early 2025. A year ahead of schedule, this move comes in response to concerning data showing that only 22% of Year 8 students met maths benchmarks in 2023. The quote, maths action plan includes enhanced teacher training, targeted interventions for struggling students, and biannual assessments to ensure progress. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon labelled the current maths performance as a, quote, total system failure, citing the latest curriculum insights and progress studies. The study revealed that 63% of Year 8 students are more than a year behind in maths, with Māori students particularly underperforming. However, some experts argue that Luxon's portrayal may be misleading. They point out that the data reflects new, more stringent curriculum standards rather than the decline in achievement. Program for International Student Assessment, or PISA, also shows that New Zealand students performing above the OECD average, though there has been a gradual decline in rankings over the past 2 decades. The new curriculum, based on cognitive theory, aims to provide a more structured approach to maths education. This includes a focus on direct instruction and repetitive practice, contrasting with the current flexible student-centric methods. Critics worry that this rigid approach may not cater to all students' needs and could limit teachers' flexibility. The government plans to support this transition with a $20 million investment in professional development and a new requirement for all primary teachers to have at least NCEA Level 2 maths. Despite these efforts, there are concerns about the rushed implementation and the impact on an already overburdened teaching workforce. Primary Teachers Union has criticised the tight timeline, calling it insane and worrying that the crucial processes like resource development and teacher training might be compromised. Education Minister Erica Stanford has acknowledged the challenges but insists there is no time to waste, emphasising the need to start the reforms even if they are not perfect from day one. She promises support to ensure teachers have what they need to adapt to the new curriculum.